I need your help to save my farm and many other farms.
Donald Trump specifically said he was going to go after low-hanging fruit. You just didn't think you were low-hanging fruit.
I might lose my farm because of the government.
Right after the election, I made a video where I said to all Trump supporters, when his policies get enacted and it lands on your front doorstep and starts to actually affect you as well, when you start to complain, I'm going to get in your face and say, you voted for Trump. And guess what? I still feel that way. But here's the thing. I am not here to tap dance on your grave. I'm not here for an I told you so dance. I am not here like a lot of the people in the comments who I believe have a right to say what they're saying when they say fun and find out, or you voted for Trump, or this was literally in Project 2025 and we told you this literal exact farm initiative was in direct threat from President Trump.
Yesterday, I had posted a video about my struggle with empathy and schadenfreude for people who are in the FO stage of FAFO, and having genuine conversations with people who want to learn and people who want to leave Maga and all that kind of stuff. And I used the farmer who's on the verge of you losing his farm as an example. My bad. The more I learn about this guy and the more I see his videos doubling down on Trump, you are a dumb fuck. You are getting everything you deserve, buddy. You benefited off of Joe Biden's policies, and now Trump has taken that benefit away or put a pause on that benefit, at least in the interim. And you're on here. You have the audacity to come on here and ask for sympathy. Bro, you're not going to get it. And then you're doubling down, blaming everybody else except doing self-reflection. Yeah. You're not going to get any empathy. I hope you lose it. I hope you do lose your farm because you're a dumb fuck. And instead of taking the opportunity to maybe do some self-reflecting, realizing that you done fuck, you're blaming everybody else. You're blaming everybody in your comments for being mean because you're a thin-skinned little fuck. And, yeah.
So Farmers for Trump were benefiting from Joe Biden's administration's policies towards farmers. And now that they decided to switch the code and vote for Trump, they are complaining that they are losing their farms. And rumor has it that they are not only losing their farms, but they are losing their farms to the bigger guys. Because Trump's agenda is to get to control the farming industry in America. Regardless of even the white people that voted for him, he is not even caring to put them into consideration. Talk about effing out and finding out. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the reactions of the people, welcome to my channel. My name is Matkunda Esther. If you're new here, hi, welcome. 16,000 of you, thank you so much for loving me and, supporting me. Now, I feel like Democrats right now are jumping hooray and saying, I told you so. Rightfully so, as they should. Because Trumps for Farmers, they were so excited that Trump was coming into office and they decided to even call the ass on their own Mexican helpers. Well, that didn't take no time before they found out that, okay, now that the Mexicans are gone, who is going to do the farming on our farms? Because as white people, we can't do the farming. Okay, now that is out of the window. They are finding out that they are losing their farms. And people tried to warn them. And a lot of Democrats were saying, go and read Project 2025. Every print is there. You just decided to ignore it. Now you are in the finding out stage and there's nothing you can do. Ladies and gentlemen, go down in the comment section and tell me what you think about the situation. Do you think we are looking at a revolution of American farming? And also, are we looking at a point in life where white farmers are going to be going back to poverty over losing their own land to Trump and they voted him?
I might lose my farm because of the government. NRCS, conservation planning, cost sharing on stuff like fencing, different seedings, water lines, better conserve farmland for agricultural use. They called me today and said, hey, I know we have this signed contract. We're reneging on it. We're not going to pay out on it. I'm just screwed. And unless they lift this pause on payment, I'm going to lose this farm.
This is the plan. This was the plan the entire time. Donald Trump comes in, starts ripping cords out of the wall for how government works, from the Department of Defense down to USDA, down to USAID, and then everything starts acting funny. Payments stop. You can't get a hold of people. Whatever. And then you blame the government. I wonder if anybody in Missouri or Iowa or Nebraska or Oklahoma or any other major part of farm country bothered to read the Darren Baxt written Department of Agriculture section of Project 2025, because this is exactly what they said they do. The agriculture part of Project 2025 calls out NRCS by name, calls out any and all conservation programs by name, and says they're gone by any means necessary. And that's just the beginning. Did you know they're going to try to go after the Farm Bill to decouple nutrition programs from farm support programs so they can go after them individually? My brother in Christ, you are 2 steps behind. While you're on the phone with NRCS trying to figure out what to do about your well money, you better start making calls to your insurance agent, because they're coming after crop insurance next. I will never in a million years understand why farm country overwhelmingly voted for a man who was promising to screw you over. I hope y'all make it, and for Christ's sake, I hope you do better next time, if there's a next time.
Call me cruel, but I have zero sympathy for, and I do not give a shit that farmer is potentially going to be losing his farm because of Trump's cutbacks. He voted for that. How am I supposed to have sympathy for somebody that is going to lose their lifestyle when they voted to lose that lifestyle? I don't get it. Like, does the privilege run that deep that you thought that you were immune, or were you really that uninformed about what Trump was about? I'm sorry, I don't.
This comment right here, let's read it. We need to talk about it. A lot of us have made video replies to that farmer in rural Missouri. His name is Skylar, and he has a cattle ranch. And he voted for Trump, and he is now upset that he is going to be losing a bunch of grant money that he needed for his farm that was promised to him under the Biden administration, and Trump and Elon Musk have cut off funding in violation of the law. And as a result of that, I've been talking a lot about all of our agricultural subsidies and all of the ways that our government funds our farmers, and how heartbreaking it is to see how many of America's farmers have, over the last couple of decades, gone very, very, very red. And how they believe in things like Project 2025. They believe things like food stamps and WIC are handouts, and people who take them are welfare queens. And they wanted to gut those programs, not understanding that those are agricultural subsidies that they directly benefit from and keep their farms going. So in the context of that conversation, this comment was left: farmers should support the vulnerable and minorities because no one understands how delicate and fragile life can be like a farmer. This comment really, really got to me as somebody who covers a lot of agriculture for my work, not only to stay up on the current research for my own practices in my garden and so that I can advise people on my YouTube channel, but also for things like food recalls, and also just what is going on when it comes to the way our government funds our farmers and the way that that can either benefit or detract from building resilient food systems, that we can avoid things like supply chain crises, so that we can make sure that we reduce food waste, that the food farmers are growing gets to the people who need it. That's exactly what SNAP does. That's exactly what food stamps are for. And it's just heartbreaking to see the people who grow the food that we eat, who have a very intimate connection with the land in that way. The folks who see life and death firsthand, who raise the livestock that we eat, witness calves being born, eggs hatching, experience all of the grief and struggles that go with trying to grow and produce and raise food for a living, to feed and nourish not only their own families, but all of America. How could those people vote in opposition to America's hungry, to our most vulnerable communities? How could our farmers, who rely so heavily on undocumented workers, our ag laborers, be they folks working in the fields, planting, tending, harvesting our crops, or be they folks working in slaughterhouses, dangerous, difficult, and demoralizing work, depending on the state, those folks are 25 to 50% undocumented workers. Everybody who grows food understands how much we in America rely on undocumented workers to feed this country, to keep farms going. And yet we see so many of America's farmers over the last couple of decades have gone from being very solidly blue, understanding working class solidarity, understanding the Farm Bill, understanding farm aid and what it means, what social programs mean, not only to farmers, but to hungry people. We've gone from that. I don't know how that knowledge has been lost. I don't know how the knowledge from the last Trump administration, where we saw farm after farm after farm go out of business across America, directly as a result of Trump's tariffs and other oppressive policies. How folks don't remember that. Like, where has that knowledge gone? And how have these folks been indoctrinated into a way of thinking where they will vote against their own best interest, against their family's legacy, against their farms? And not only that, they will do so because they want to stick it to the folks that they rely on to keep their farms going. A lot of these folks who used to vote very solidly blue, they voted out of spite to deport the migrants who keep their farms running. We're looking at strawberries and citrus rotting in the fields on the trees because there's nobody to pick it. They voted knowing these tariffs were going to come in. And the fact that the two groups of farmers in the US who are going to be devastated by that were soybean and pork farmers. Iowa, who voted so overwhelmingly for Trump, I'm looking at you. So much of the pork you raise goes to Mexico. It's exported to Canada and other countries, where we are now on the verge of a trade war. It's only been pressed pause for just a very little bit. You voted to harm your own business because you wanted to see brown agricultural workers deported? Farmers across America, you voted to shut down the subsidies that keep your dairy farm, your wheat farm, the corn you grow for cereals and corn syrup, the soy you grow for baby formula, the beans, the split peas, the peanuts that you grow, that all get distributed to needy, hungry folks through programs like WIC, through free and reduced lunch, through food stamps, through USAID programs that ship especially things like powdered milk and legumes overseas to people experiencing crisis, to refugees. You voted to undermine your own business, your own farm, and the farms of your neighbors because you didn't like these folks getting a handout. You didn't like seeing welfare queens benefiting from pork off the state, when what they really were doing was getting fed the food that the government wanted to pay you for, the surplus food that you were growing, that in the 1920s and 30s would have been dumped on a cliff or burned in a field. The government instead was buying that off of you to feed all of those folks. But you would rather see them go hungry and see your own farm go under. And to understand how you are a massive recipient of social welfare programs. The socialist programs we have in America are mutually beneficial for you and for the hungry. Y'all are connected. You're connected. These programs were good for both of you. The labor of undocumented workers kept your farms going. I would argue that it was in many ways better for you than it was for them because they were paid exploitive wages and subjected to very harsh working conditions. Is your hatred for vulnerable people so strong that you are willing to tank yourself and tank this whole country? Because that's what it looks like right now.
Well, well, well. How the turntables.
I might lose my farm because of the government. I got in bed with the government.
And why is that? Come on, go further now. Why is that? Go watch this video, then go read about Project 2025, which we told you guys to do. Everything that's happening to him right now was in Project 2025. Go watch his full video. Gutting USAID is going to farmers. It was right there! It was right there.
Some people aren't going to like to hear this, but that farmer guy in Missouri, Skylar Holden or whatever, who lost his farm, voted for Trump, and now he is maybe not regretting his vote, but he's having conversations, he's digging into things, he's doing his research, he's finding primary sources, he's asking how to educate himself, he's engaging with comments about, other political things like racism and expressing interest in learning. Those are the people, if you are a white person, if you have the energy to do it, and it's not going to make you jump off a bridge, those are the people that we need to be having conversations with. We do not need to be purity testing them. We don't need to have a gotcha moment. We need to find points of connection and communication, and we need to lean into that to fix problems together.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms.
Donald Trump specifically said he was going to go after low-hanging fruit. You just didn't think you were low-hanging fruit. And it turns out you are. And now you have entered into a contract with the government where you agreed to do a bunch of work and they were going to reimburse you for it to improve your farmland for future generations. The Inflation Reduction Act gave you that opportunity, and you took it. I would have too. And now the man who's known for going back on contracts and refusing to pay for work that's already been done is doing that to you, the man you voted for. So you were fine when he was talking about removing the civil rights of women and trans people, trampling on the freedoms of immigrants. You were fine with that because it wasn't going to affect you. And you didn't believe that they were going to implement Project 2025. In fact, maybe you didn't read it because pages 294 through 310 talked specifically about how they were going to fuck you. Either you didn't believe it, you didn't take the time to read it, or you just thought everybody that was complaining about Trump and his plans and his policies were just being crybabies? Or maybe you thought those people deserved what was going to happen to them. I don't know. But now it's happening to you. And so I would think that right now is a good time for you to admit that you were wrong and maybe apologize. Because there are a lot of people that are going to be hurt by the things that you voted for and cheered on. And now you're one of them. And I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry that's happening to you. I don't wish it on you. But I do hope that you have the courage to say I was wrong and this guy's a piece of shit. Imagine the type of coalition we could build if people had the courage to admit they were wrong and join hands with the people who were scared originally. We might be able to do something about this.
Since the election, everyone has reminded me that I thought Kamala Harris was going to win. Everyone has reminded me that she didn't win and Donald Trump won. I've seen it over and over and over again. But what I also said was if Donald Trump did win, it would be a disaster for farmers and oil workers. Because the last time Donald Trump was president, it was a disaster for farmers and oil workers. Now, he really hasn't gotten to oil workers yet. But hey, farmers, how you doing? Yeah, you see, the last time Donald Trump was president, over 100,000 farms went belly up in America. So here he runs for president again, and what do you farmers do? Yeah, you vote for him again. And I don't understand why, but it's one of those cases where you effed around and now you're going to find out again. Because apparently he didn't do enough damage the first time. You wanted to see it a second time. So here we are.
By now, you've probably seen the video of this young farmer saying that he's at risk of losing his farm because he was taking part in a federal program that was assisting him in making some much needed improvements on his farm so that hopefully he could turn a bigger profit. But because presidential executive orders that have been signed have frozen the funds to those federal programs, he could lose his farm. And listen, I've seen the comments, the stitches, the duets, people telling him, FAFO, you voted for this. And if you'll allow me, I want to come at this from a different perspective. First of all, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I've been a registered independent voter for the last 4 elections. That being said, yes, I did vote for Kamala Harris. And if this is where you stop listening, have a great rest of your day. Secondly, I don't watch mainstream or legacy media. All of the media I choose to consume is from outside of the US, primarily Al Jazeera and NPR. All that being said, that's the problem with using just a few issues to choose our elected officials, because that person running and their whole campaign team just wants you to believe that they are the best and the other side is the worst, that they want you to have the best world and the best life and the other side doesn't want you to have anything, and that these programs that are trying to help people are draining taxpayer dollars. They're making the American people lazy so that they can suck off the teat of American taxpayers. When the truth is, that's not even close to what it is. A lot of the programs, not all and not none, but a lot of the programs that people are trying to put in place are to try and help make Americans stronger themselves so that they're more self-reliant. But the problem is, most people are just going to listen to what that politician says and not think the 3 to 4 steps ahead to think, if this, then that. If they get rid of this, then what else goes with it? And that's where we all lose, because most people don't realize these bills are written in such a way that they intertwine programs. And if you undo one, you undo them all. Unfortunately, this is going to keep happening until people can stop and say, what else is this going to affect?
But some folks who aren't feeling Trump's optimism right now are American farmers, and they are stuck in the middle of all of this.
Frank, who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump. Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen. No.
You voted for President Trump. So now, in this moment, you say you're in a free fall. What is your message to him?
So I'm off the Trump train. Where I'm going for now is I got to protect my business.
Island, a wheat farmer who says he's lost $400,000 since Trump took office.
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him, but it's going to get to the point where financially, if it's between supporting the president or losing your family farm.
You voted for the president?
Yes, I did.
And do you support these policies which might be hurting farmers like you?
Right now, we're the ones that are taking the hit.
I think he's sort of backstabbing the main people who got him into office in the Midwest, and he just left us down.
As you may have heard by now, California farmers are raising the alarm that the plans of President-elect Elon Musk and his First Lady, Donald John Trump, to deport immigrant workers might significantly hinder those farmers' ability to harvest the crops that they grow, and might eventually lead to these farmers being ruined. Only here's the thing, those farmers supported Donald Trump during the election, which brings us to yet another edition of Well, look what we have here, if it isn't the consequences of your own goddamn actions. And now, if you're a Trump supporter with nary two brain cells to rub together, you're probably thinking, well, I'm not a California farmer, so fuck them and fuck you too. Only here's the thing, those farmers create 50% of the produce that's sold here in the United States. And now, if you combine their inability to grow that produce with tariffs on imported produce, what the hell do you think that's going to do to your grocery prices? I'll give you a hint. They're going to go through the fucking roof. They're going to be so high, they're going to be the opposite of your IQ, you ignorant fuck waffle. Your brain is so smooth, it's goddamn frictionless, okay? You got conned, all right? You're so sad and pathetic. You're the Tiny Tim of voters, and God bless us, everyone, because as much as I'd love for all of you to shut the fuck up for once in your lives and let the adults in this room take this country off the goddamn cliff, my smug levels are fucking redlining, and I gotta tell you, it feels good.
So this comment right here, little short-sighted. Let's pass the blame easily on Donald Trump because that's the easiest thing to do. But let's debunk this real quick. Farmers are not losing their farms because of Donald Trump. They are losing their farms due to their own greed, because they don't want to pay livable wages and they don't want to share their revenue by having people legally. You see how this works? You guys are pro-slavery, paying people under the table, paying people below minimum wage, paying people non-livable wage so they can do your job. So yeah, no, fuck them. Farmers with ethics, farmers that will actually care about their employees, farmers that care about the whole thing that's going on, they're not going out of business. They're not losing their farms. So, no,